So Sicario is directed by Denis Villeneuve and stars Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, and Josh Brolin. And in this movie, Emily Blunt plays a FBI agent that joins a government task force to take on the Mexican cartel, and she quickly realizes that she's in over her head as she discovers this group sort of handles things not so quite by the book. And throughout the film, you have this conflict of her not agreeing with what they do and them trying to justify their methods in how they handle the cartel. Now, the one thing that really stands out in this movie is the performances by the three main actors in this. Josh Brolin definitely has a noteworthy performance in this, but it's Emily Blunt and Benicio del Toro that really stand out in this film. And if you frequent my channel, you know how much I want strong female leads, and Emily Blunt is a great example of a strong female lead in this. She really holds her own in this film, and she definitely has a really good performance. But the person that really takes it all home and definitely has the most interesting character is Benicio del Toro. He's such a badass in this film, and in the beginning of the film you really don't know what to think of him. He's very mysterious, and also Emily Blunt's character is a little bit wary of him at first. As the film progresses, you figure out what his character's intentions are, and I don't want to spoil anything in the movie, but you've seen in the trailer that she's very wary of his character and what he's doing with this group, because he really doesn't seem to be somebody that is involved with the US government, and he just has the most interesting part in this film. And the cinematography in this movie is very impressive. I love their use of perspective in this film to tell the story, and their use of the camera it definitely adds to the tension and suspense, which is really good in this film. But not only that, but the build up to those scenes is used very well in this film, because there was plenty of times in this movie where I was totally on edge. I was expecting like a gunshot or an explosion. And speaking of gunshots, I really like how they handled the gunfights in this movie. It's not that typical Hollywood, big bass sound effect for the guns or like just bullets flying everywhere. I really liked how realistic the guns were in this film. Everything from the sound design of the gunshots to the gun handling, and it just gives you a real representation of how gunfights are in real life. Because if you've handled guns before, or if you've ever been around somebody that's handled guns and knows a lot about guns, I'm around a lot of those people, with family members being retired law enforcement or friends being in the military, and I also have my own experience with guns. You hear a lot about how gunfights are. I like the representation of gunfights and just guns in general in this film. Now, this is a very solid film. It's a good film to go see. The cinematography is really good. The acting is very, very notable. But I do think this film is a little overrated. It got a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, but there are a couple of things that I had issues with, and really it just boils down to two really big things that I didn't like about this film. A lot of moments in this film that I like to refer to the calm before the storm. They're just scenes that sort of build the suspense up before something big happens. And again, it's worth saying that the buildup was good, that the suspense was good, but those moments, and there's a lot of them, those moments were pretty boring. I have to be completely honest. There's a lot of times where I was just flat out bored during this movie, and I found myself looking at my watch a lot of times and sort of just dozing off and thinking about, well, what I'm gonna have for dinner when I get home. That just doesn't bode well, and I think it was due to those moments and the pacing of the film. They could have sort of tightened those scenes up a little more so it didn't lose me. And the second biggest thing I have with this movie is that the main character, and the one that you spend the most time with in this movie, is Emily Blunt. The movie opens with her, and you're sort of diving into this world of fighting the cartel with her and through her eyes. So you experienced things along with her, alongside her in this film. She's your sort of gateway to the movie. But at the climax of the film, she's nowhere to be found. And you end up following Del Toro at the end of this film. It closes out the story arc for Del Toro's character very well, but it was very off-putting that they didn't include the main character of the film in the climax. And it took me out of the movie, and I was kind of wondering, it's like, why are we following this character when the entire time we're following this other character? This movie could have definitely been a high five for me, but I go to movies to be entertained, and there's just too many points in this movie where I was just very bored. But regardless, this still is a good movie, so Sicario gets a very well-deserved good game. So Sicario, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Leave a comment below, tell me your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button below, help me out please, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this, you can click right here and see more videos. Bye, Andrew.